My name is Catherine Kawahu. Today is September 17th, and this is lab number 2. We're going to start with talking about the epithelial tissue, and the functions of the epithelial tissue is to protect the underlying tissue from toxins and physical trauma, to absorb substances, to regulate the excretion of chemicals between tissues and the body cavity, sensation detection, secretion of hormones, and secretion of hormones. So we'll start with simple squamous. This is found in the alveoli, the air sacs of the lungs. It's also found in the lining of the heart, the blood vessels, and the lymphatic vessels, and it allows materials to pass through by diffusion and filtration. So the next one we're going to talk about is our simple cubule, and this one here, cubonal, is the ducts and secretory portions of the small glands and in the kidneys and tubules, and it secretes and absorbs. Next is the simple columnar. This is found in the bronchi. It's found in the uterine tubules and the uterus. It secretes mucus and enzymes. Next, we're going to talk about this one down here, and this is found in the upper respiratory tract, and it secretes mucus. Next, we'll talk about the stratified squamous, and this one is found in the esophagus, the mouth, and the vagina, and it protects against abrasion. Then we are going to talk about the stratified cubonal, which is our sweat glands, our salivary glands, and our mammary glands, and it is a protective tissue. Then we'll talk about the stratified columnar, which is in the male urethra and the ducts and some of our glands, and it secretes and protects. And then we'll talk about the transitional right here, and this lines the bladder, the urethra, and uterus, and it allows the urinary organs to expand and stretch. Now we're going to talk about our connective tissues. There's 3 main components of the connective tissue, and it's the cells, the fibers, and the ground surfaces. So first we have the loose connective, and that has 3 different subclasses: the ardar, the adipose, and the reticular. So here we have a picture of the reticular tissue. It's the internal framework. It's kind of considered that, and it can be found in the lymph nodes, the spleen, and the bone marrow. Next, we'll talk about the artery connective tissue in the loose tissue subdivision. It serves as packing material, and it supports and binds the tissue together. And lastly, for the loose connective tissue, we will talk about the adipose tissue, and that's technically 80% fat, and its main role is to store energy in form of lipids. Now we're going to move on to the dense connective tissue. In the dense connective tissue, there's regular and irregular dense connective tissue. So the irregular has it has collagen fibers that are thicker and arranged irregularly. It's found where tension is exerted in many different locations. The dense regular consists of closely packed collagen bundles that run in the same direction. So you'll see this one, they all flow in the same direction. So that would be a dense regular. Next we have the bone tissue is what we're going to talk about here. The bone tissue is lightweight and it's highly compressive. Now we are going to talk about the cartilage. The cartilage is flexible tissue, and it's found around many of the areas of the body, including in between joints and bones. The last one we're going to talk about is the blood, and blood actually does not bind or connect any network, and it's made up of blood cells that are surrounded by plasma. Now we are going to move on to our muscle tissues. First one we're going to talk about is the skeletal, and this one is striated and it is voluntary. So the striations are actually those little lines that you see going down there. Next we're going to talk about the cardiac, and this one is involuntary and it is also striated, but it also has the intercalated discs which control and synchronize the contraction of the heart tissue. And lastly, we're going to talk about the smooth muscle, and it's involuntary and not striated, and it has a centrally located nucleus, and they're spindle shaped. So now, our last thing we're going to talk about today is the nervous tissue, and it makes up the central and the peripheral nervous system. And the main function of the nervous tissue is integration and communication. And those are the two main functions. And the main thing to remember about this tissue is that there's the dendrites and the axons. And so the axons will send a message and the dendrites will receive it. So this one will send out a message to another neuron or another cell or another nervous cell, and the dendrites will actually pick up that. And that is it. Thank you.